Hey guys, my name's Ali and I'm a data and analytics consultant. Most companies want to be more data driven, but too many start with the tech and not the business value. In this video, we're going to take a look at how to start your data journey in your company without buying a full data platform upfront. We'll cover how to start small, test value fast, use simple tools, and build a foundation that you can scale and grow with as the company's needs also grows. So how do you start your data journey without buying a full data platform? Let's jump into this. The first thing I want to talk about is why a lot of companies get it wrong. It can be easy to make bigger investments and you end up with low adoption. And what I mean by big investments is that you go out and you buy maybe a more modern modular based stack with a lot of different components. It takes time to get the data in, it takes time to make the data products, and the adoption isn't getting as high as you expect. Now, a lot of times it can be because you make big investments and it takes time for culture to change to get that adoption that you are looking for. So that's something that happens often with some companies. Just because you buy an expensive platform, it doesn't guarantee value. That's also something that's important to think about. The newest and shiniest tech doesn't mean that that's going to give you business value. And then it's important to start with the business needs and not with the tech, something that you also have to think about. We need to know what we're going to use the platform for before we invest in the platform. And then the last point I've written here is to build trust in small and meaningful steps. And what I mean by that is that you have to learn how to hurry step by step. So not go too quick. Start smaller, make sure that you create some data products, get it out there, create some adoption, create some enthusiasm, and then as you go, you can gradually scale more and more. So these are some points that are good to think about, and some mistakes that some companies do, or where they fall short sometimes. If we then just go a little bit step by step, the first thing is to start with a real business need, and I usually almost always tie stuff back to what is the need for the business, what is it that we're trying to solve, what are we trying to do. So tie your initiatives to a concrete use case. You need to know what it is that you're going to use the platform for. You need to know why you're selecting that data. You need to know why, what kind of analytical use case it is that you're going to solve and what kind of value it's going to give you. Some good stuff to focus on, which could be a business need, is something which is cost related, reduce costs, increase revenue, reduce some sort of risk exposure that the business has, which could affect cost or revenue. Make sure that what you're deciding and going for and what you're creating, that it aligns with strategy and leadership, so it can both support the strategic initiatives going on with the company, but also what the management is looking for and what they need help with. And then I've written, don't go too big, but still make it important enough to matter. So don't take the biggest challenges on, but still small and concrete enough so that if you solve it, it will create some value for the company. And then the second step is to prove value with a pilot. And that really comes back to small scope with low cost and a quick turnaround. And again, low cost is cost in terms of platform investment. It's low cost in terms of time spent, and low cost maybe in terms of getting it out there. Quick turnaround means that when you get something out there, a dashboard or some other data products, that is also a quick turnaround to iterate and improve on it and kind of get it from being something that's starting up to something that's living and something you're continuously improving is also important. Make sure that you know what success means for you before you start. That means faster reports, more sales, improved customer service, whatever the metric is, whatever the goal is. Make sure that you define that upfront and you talk about it upfront. So success isn't something that you figure out when the report has been handed off and then you're like, oh, look what it created. Oh, now it's successful. You should know beforehand what it is that's going to define the initiative or a project or the project as a success. Involve the end users early and often. You want the users of the report to be a part of this early, and you want to continuously communicate and have a dialogue and make it more of a of something we're doing together than something I'm working on and then I give it to you and then you see it now and that's it. No, we want communication, we want collaboration. And then everything adjust based on feedback before scaling. You need to have some sort of channels to get feedback, very important. You need to make sure that you either get that through communication, questionnaires, weekly meetings, whatever that is, make sure that you get feedback before you start to make the changes and scale up or down, because you want to make sure that the changes and the scaling that you do is based on feedback, of course. Step 3, use flexible and low cost tech. What I mean with that is that there, with cloud and everything that's going on now, there's much more flexibility and you can start at a lower cost. That also means that you can end up increasing a higher cost, which you need to be aware of, but you can start really low. So with a lot of cloud sources like Azure, Amazon, Google, other data platforms, there's a low entry of cost and it's easy to scale. And that's the little bit scary part, that it is very easy to scale up, but you can start quite low. Also start with what you have. If you have Excel, a SQL database, Power BI, then there's no need to go out and buy Databricks or Snowflake or the most advanced stuff. You can start for sure with what you have and build pilots and start initiatives with that, and then you can scale from there. I've written avoid overbuilding for small data volumes, and that's also very important. If you don't have a lot of big data, there's a lot of different combinations you can do and create a very successful data platform without having to go all in. And the last point I've written is favor modular setups over monolithic platforms. And it depends a little bit company to company, how many resources you have, how you're structured. But what I mean by this is that if you have some of the important parts, let's say the business logic or the data warehouse logic in dbt, then it's easy to lift and shift it to another platform if you want to. So some parts could be modular, some parts could be more all in one platform. Like you could have a lot of your stuff in Fabric, like you could have Power BI, Databricks in Fabric, and then you could consider putting dbt on top of that, so that if you want to get out of Fabric or you want to move away from that at some point, you can move it to Snowflake or Databricks and bring your logic that way. It comes back to the flexibility, which is important, that what you start with today doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the platform that's correct for you in 1 year or 3 years as you mature data-wise. And that bridges over very well to this slide, which is step number 4, which means plan for scaling early. And what I mean by that is that as you start to build a data platform, as you start to become more data mature, there will be scaling in the platform so that you can serve more users and more use cases. So each use case should, to a certain extent, be treated as a building block. You're building something today, and then in a couple months, you're going to build on top of that. So you have to think a little bit, what is the foundation? What becomes the use cases on top of that? And what becomes other types of use cases on top of that? Very important. And then, think about your architecture without over-engineering it too much, which means that you need to think about that the architecture supports scalability and scaling for the future, but you also don't want to spend too much time over engineering in different phases, because the platform creates value when it creates new analytics and insight for the business, not while you are necessarily over engineering it. So this is also something you need to balance off. In some periods you'll have more time for engineering, in other periods you'll have more time for working on that data, and you need to find that balance. Early design for reuse in pipelines, reports, and data models, which is think about using metadata so that you get scalability in terms of notebooks, in terms of data factory, pipelines, data models, DAX measures, etc., etc. Think about it early, that there's going to be some reusability, and you want to use parts of what you create today in other use cases at a later stage. So there needs to be flexibility. And the last one is build momentum with a clear and evolving direction. And what I mean by that is that momentum will come over time when you have a direction. And if you can manage to make sure that the direction and the use case and the value evolves, it increases over time, then you will get more and more momentum as time goes. A couple pitfalls to avoid. Buying big without a clear use case, classic. Don't go too large in the beginning. Clear use case, this is the data, this is what we're going to do with it, this is what it's going to support. Let's start there. Think about what you establish, think about scalability. Paying for features you don't use. In some platforms, you can buy large platforms and there's a lot of functions and features you might not need. It's good to be aware of what you're paying for and what you're not paying for. So do try and get an overview of that. Underestimating complexity and the time it takes to create value. Very common pitfall. It's easy to think that things will go fast. Sometimes, or almost always, there will be curveballs that shows up, and it takes time to get data from the raw source to become the right type of quality and with the right governance and the right data product, and for them to use it before it becomes value for the business. So you have to think about this timeline all the time, and not only think about the technical part, but also about culture and adoption and change management, which is also a big part of this. Vendor lock-in and inflexible setups. Again, try to think about, what are we buying, why are we buying it, what kind of flexibility does it give us, 6 months, 1 year, 3 years from now, and make sure it's not too inflexible as I've written here. And then if it becomes a top-down rollout, then what I mean by that is that management goes out and they say, hey, we're going to roll out a new data platform, you have to use it, and they kind of push it upon the rest of the company. That could also lead to low adoption. So it's important to find the right use cases, include users, make it more of a company project than a data project, and figure out how you can get the business and the tech to talk together, so that you get a higher degree of adoption. So one basic example that I made, all these shoe stores, and the way we started smart, or a good way to start is, we started with wanting to optimize a shoe store warehouse. Starting out, we had Google Sheets where we store the data. We created an integration from the warehouse source to Google Sheets, and then we put some Excel dashboards on that. It could have been a Google Sheet dashboard. It's just some basic, very basic example. You can get data from SQL databases into a spreadsheet. You can create dashboards there, and you can share that, and that will create some enthusiasm and show what's possible, and you're using very easy, simple tools. Then when you prove the value and you want to scale to 50 stores, you now want to get data from much more stores. Let's say in the first start we just fetched from 5 stores just to show some inventory and how things are looking in the warehouse. Now that you want to scale to 50 stores, the data amounts might increase quite a bit. You want more structured ways of reading the data, you want more governance, and you want to make sure that you can process larger amounts of data. Then you can maybe take the learnings that you did from Google Sheets and the dashboard and evolve into Power BI with SQL and dbt. So that means that now you know which tables you need, what the dashboard is going to look like, calculations, maybe you've iterated on the dashboard with the users. So when you now take it into Power BI with SQL as a source and dbt is where the logic sits, you have much more direction. You know which data you want, you know which calculations you want, you know which tables you need, you know what you're going to try and recreate in Power BI. And it's going to lift the whole ecosystem and make it much more professionalized by taking it into this step. But you're doing it at a point where you have much more direction than if you just start from scratch. So here, you avoid some waste, you build some ownership, and you've saved some money along the way. And saved money can be in terms of time, it can be in terms of what components you pick, because you understand the use case better, you understand the data amounts better. And already the people that were involved in the Google Sheets and the Excel dashboard and from the first steps just to shape and discuss with the business, they already have a bit of ownership. So it's a very basic example of how you can go from like one level to another level. But it's something that's good to think about, that just because you start with more simple stuff, there's still a lot of learning and value you will get from that, because you're learning about the data, you're learning about the use cases, you're learning about who to talk to, you're learning about how to iterate. There's so much you bring with you, which will then make the shift towards something more structured much more easier and with much more direction than starting from scratch. So final thoughts, you don't need a full platform to start your data journey. You can start with simpler tools, have an idea of how you're going to scale, and then start to solve some data challenges and go from there. Focus on value, speed, and feedback, which means focus on what it is that you're going to achieve. Make sure you get there within reasonable time, and then use your feedback from users and also the feedback that you get from the ecosystem in terms of what works well and doesn't work well to figure out what is the next step. Prove some return on investment on what you have in a simpler version, and then scale what works and scale it into something bigger if that is needed. But these are some final thoughts on how you can get going without a data platform. Some good things to think about, and really a lot of times it's just about getting started and then having some direction and being sensible in how you gradually scale it up into a more professional and larger data platform. Thank you guys for watching. If you want to learn more about this topic, then I've written an article that breaks down this approach step by step. You can find the link for that in the description below. And if you're looking to get started in a smart and sustainable way, then reach out either on LinkedIn or email, and I'm more than happy to help you guys design a pilot and understand how to get started in a good way. Like and subscribe if you liked the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.